Hello, 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 everyone. Listen, I wanted to make this video in hopes that it would help some of the newcomers to this sport. I have obviously been I'm a part of many different groups on social media, and I see a lot of the questions that's being asked in many of these groups. I try to add my little 2 cents in the comment section of these posts when I do see them in these different groups. And tonight I just wanted to share some examples of some of the questions that I have seen, what I think the solutions, well, I ain't gonna say what I think the solutions are, but talk about where is one place you may be able to find some solutions. Also, I want to talk about the overwhelming consumption of so many different perspectives on a topic that you know little to nothing about. We're definitely an information age. Everything is at your fingertips. All information is not good information. And that's what I want to talk about. What's up, Ronald? Appreciate all you guys checking in. If y'all guys can share this video, I would greatly appreciate it because the more people that we can get involved and hear this message, the better off we all are. So, like I said, guys, I want to talk about a couple different things, and it's just a result of what I'm seeing on social media. And I want to talk about it because it's not being talked about. So let's get right into it. Looking at these groups, let's talk about some of the common questions that we're seeing during seasons and stuff like that. Let me talk about some of the common questions. I've seen some questions today asking about inbreeding. Can I inbreed? I mean, should I inbreed? Should I line breed? Should I, outcross? Should I just breed best to the best? Those kind of questions, right? Obviously, I'm assuming that's coming from somebody who's just starting to learn about breeding. Okay. Check another question. I seen a question today said, "Hey, should I use? Has anybody ever used the fake dummies with a rooster?" Right? Obviously, the message, the comment section is full. It'll make them duck. It'll make them do this. It's no good. It'll make them peck. It'll make them bill hole, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Another one that I see also too, why is my hen not laying? Okay, this guy asked this question. Within 30 minutes is 135 comments inside the comment section. Obviously, if he wasn't confused by the time he posted that question, he'll be confused after he read 135 different opinions. One of the other ones I see is, can I breed a stag? Can I breed a pullet? One of the other ones I see is, what type of disease this is, what's the best medication or best way to deal with coccidiosis, cankers, all these different types of things, right? So what's up, Hector? What's up, brother? So what I wanted to talk about is not just these topics. I don't want to just really talk about these topics, but I want to talk about where the individuals can go to find some answers. Not the only answer, but find some answers. And what I'm saying is find some answers is finding some answers from at least vetted um, individuals who sharing the information. Now, what I mean by that is all y'all guys know, if you don't know, we've been doing Journey to the Pit interviews where we interview breeders from all over the world, all different backgrounds, all different farm sizes, all different weapons, all different families, all different terrains, all different everything, right? It's been going on over 6 years now. All those interviews have been free. It is literally over 1,000 years of combined, vetted, verified experience from the Gamefowl breeders that we have interviewed. Even if you do not know them, they can all be researched and you can find them. They're not somebody you may not heard of them because everybody heard of anybody. I don't care who you are, how famous you are. It's still people out there that don't know somebody. So what I can do during this interview, what's up, Jeff? Is well, not interview, but doing this video is give y'all guys a little perspective that maybe y'all can share in some of these groups, right? Because some of these groups don't allow us to share Journey to the Pit interviews. We tried to share Journey to the Pit interviews to some of these groups. They won't allow us to share the interviews to the groups. Whatever the reason is, it doesn't even matter. So, what I'm talking about is this. You have guys with those common questions that I ask. And we're in this era of the information age. There is an abundance, an overwhelming amount of information. If you do not know, or if you're not educated on a topic, how do you discern what information is good, what information is bad? How do you know if this so-called famous person, if you know them as being famous, or if you don't know them, how do you know the feeding method that they have, the pointing method that they have, the breeding method that they have used to be successful in their own right? How do you know that's going to work for you? Right? Let me just share some of the things just to think about. Just to think about. So hopefully y'all guys can wrap y'all head around this, especially with the new guys out there. Hopefully guys out there can wrap their head around this. If you're going into a topic you know nothing about, just say, for example, if you go to a mechanic, if you work at a mechanic shop and somebody coming in to interview for a job, you ask them what kind of experience that they have, maybe if they went to mechanic school, what type of certifications they have, and all those kind of things. Same thing if you become a doctor, if you become a teacher, if you become a something, they have some type of track record that can be verified, that they at least know the basics. It doesn't mean they're the best doctor, doesn't mean they're the best mechanic, it doesn't even mean they're the best teacher. It does means that they were taught at least the basic fundamentals based on statistics, work the majority of the time, not all the time. But you do know from that college degree or technician degree or whatever type of training and schooling that they have at least been exposed to the basic fundamentals and maybe a little advanced, depending on how much education and schooling that they went into on that topic, right? Now, since we don't have a Gamefowl school besides individuals out there offering their keeps and they reading, their methods and books and DVDs and stuff like that. Outside of that, we don't have a universal school. And then those individuals are giving you their perspective, sharing their experience on in Gamefowl. It's a little different than when you go to trade school, when you go to colleges and stuff like that, because what they're doing is they taking a collective of experiences, putting it into a curriculum, and then teaching the students. Obviously, it's not the only way. Obviously, everything that they teach you in trade school or everything is going to be directly applied to the real world, but it gives you a basic fundamental. Now, if you're one of those individuals say, "Oh, that really doesn't matter. I was a mechanic and I never went to school," that's fine. But would you allow your child to be operated by a doctor who never went to school? You know what I mean? Would you want a pilot flying a plane that never went to pilot school? Just think about these things. Now, why I'm saying these things is this. I think with this new generation, this is the first generation basically that have came up in the social media world of our sport. Prior to the social media world, we had, they had magazines, they had DVDs, they had VHS tapes, and then they had a lot of word of mouth, and people have relied on a lot of mentors and that kind of thing, right? Pre social media era. Okay. Now we in this social media era, there's no magazines, there's very few books and videos and DVDs. And like I say, even with those, there's that individual's experience. There's no school. Obviously it's illegal. So if you're not living in one of these legal countries, then you're not getting exposed to a lot of different things. Kyle, send me a message, brother. So what I mean by that is this generation has been, to me, my personal opinion. This is just my personal opinion. I'm not saying this is y'all guys' opinion or I'm trying to convince y'all. I feel that this new generation has become over reliant on fingertip information, over reliant, right? Versus pre social media era. right? So now that we have access to all of this information, sometimes and most times, too much information is just as bad as not enough information. Actually, sometimes too much information is not as bad as not enough information. Because a lot of times, with not enough information, it forces you to actually have to do something to learn it from experience. Now, with the overwhelming abundance of information on every single platform, everybody got a live stream, everybody got a profile on every one of these social media channels. You don't know who to listen to or who not to listen to. And just because you never heard somebody, don't mean that they don't know anything. Just because you did hear of somebody, don't mean that everything they say is gold and a holy grail or it's going to work for you. So, how do an individual discern what works for them and what doesn't work for them? Well, this is the first thing. You have to, and this is just not in Gamefowl, you have to get to a point where you have to break away from this obsession of consuming, 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 consuming. It's just not in Gamefowl. It's in every other industry. People in business, people trying to create businesses, just all people buying real estate, just all these different people invested in stock markets. There is hundreds of millions of views every day of people watching all of this information, all this information, all this information, and not applying any of the information that they have already consumed. They're not applying any information they already consumed. I've worked with a lot of individuals who teach courses and stuff like that on different types of social media platforms, and I always ask them, and even courses that I have joined, personal development courses, because I'm always working on myself. Um, I joined one course, and it was just a overwhelming amount of information. It was just way too much. They crammed all this information into this topic, and it was just too much. So what I had to do was, based on my prior experience from going through a mentoring programs, I didn't pay for mentoring programs. I had paid for mentors, all these different types of things. And I have learned that too many choices confuses you. They call it analysis, paralysis by analysis. I took an accelerated business course at Georgia Tech. And that's what one of the professors was talking about. He said that a lot of people in business get paralysis by analysis, meaning that they get paralyzed by consuming and analyzing way too much information that they actually never even start their own business, or they never implement the stuff that they learn in accelerated course in their business, because they always trying to verify and check the information. And then when they check the information, they don't want to verify the person that they got the information from. Then when it never stops. It never stops. So this is not a Gamefowl issue. This is a information age issue, right? And we see it in Gamefowl just as we've seen it in so many different industries, all industries, personal development. I used to listen to Tony Robbins, Brian Tracy, Stephen Covey, Napoleon Hill, Andrew Carnegie. I study I study all these people, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk. I have read books after books after books and studied. Michael Gerber. I mean, I have read probably 1,000 books in my lifetime. And I can tell you, from consuming, I was one of those individuals too. I was constantly consuming all of this information, right? But then what I had learned from was it Michael? Let me see. Was it Michael Gerber? I think it might have been Michael Gerber, or it might have been Tony Robbins, that he talks about the same thing, that you have to get to a point where you stop consuming information and you have to start applying the information. Michael Gerber said, his email book says, you just can't work in your business. You have to work on your business, right? And that's the same thing in Gamefowl. I think a lot of times we just get so used to running out, throwing feed, filling up water bowls, making sure everybody's good. Now we back to the information search. Now we online, we searching here, searching there, asking this question, reading comments, and it's hours and hours and hours and hours throughout the week, right? But if you ask some of these individuals to pick up a bird and ask them how much that bird weighed just by holding it, a lot of them probably couldn't tell you. a lot of them will probably be 5, 6, 7 ounces off because they haven't physically picked up enough birds to pretty much know. Pick up a bird today, I probably picked up 10 birds, 10 to 15 birds today, just today alone, going from one farm to another farm. You know what I mean? Relocating 2 birds, then picking up 2 birds and bringing them back. But while I was there at the breeder's house, he was showing me different birds that he's preparing to show this coming Sunday. So I was able to touch that one, take some, you know what I mean? I'm able to feel it, feel the density of their muscles and all that kind of stuff, right? I did that today. I did that probably for a few hours between 2 different places and then sat there and talked about different types of scenarios, different ideas, and not only just talked about it, but I physically was able to touch these birds. So I just want to hopefully share my life experience, and hopefully as we are our brother's keeper, we have, hopefully guys, y'all will share the same concept. You know, not just giving everybody answers and answers and answers and answers. They say a great mentor doesn't tell his students the answer. He just tell them where he can find the answer. And in our community, and not just our community, but I am talking about Gamefowl because it applies to all industries. We have this tendency to always give people answers. Didn't the old saying, biblical saying is, you can give a man a fish and feed him for a day, or you can teach a man to fish and feed him for life? I know some of y'all guys are Christians. Why are y'all not applying that same strategy when all of these guys are asking all of these questions? Is it an ego thing? Do you want to, or is it pride? Or I mean, I don't understand what it is. Nobody's trying to point anybody in a direction of where they can find answers or how they can find answers. Everybody's just trying to give them the answer, and they all racing to give them the answer. How is it 135 comments under a post saying why my hen is not laying? It was 135 comments in less than 40 minutes. In less than 40 minutes, 135 comments, and it was all answers. None of them was a question. Nobody asked how long he had the bird, what type of condition she's in, is she sick, is she's overweight, how did he know she's healthy? Nobody, what age she is she young, is she old, has he ever, is it the first time she did that? Nobody asked any questions. Everybody just dove into the comment section. Oh, you got to give her land pellets. Oh, she's, you got to just worm her. Oh, you got to do it, put on fresh grass, change her. It was 135 different answers and not one question. So, I know this is not going to be a popular topic, and that is fine because I'm not trying to connect with everybody in the world. But again, guys, for the ones that's watching this, why don't we start to encourage people to get out on a farm, get off their phones, like we constantly criticize in the younger generation, which the older generation is just as bad as the younger generation, because social media, especially Facebook, based on their stats, is full of more older people than younger people. Think about that. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. Everybody's always talking about young people don't never want to put their phone down. But the stats, and this is all research, public information, do the stats. There is more older people on Facebook than it is younger people. So who got their phones? Who really are the ones with their phones in their hands? Who's really the one spending all the time on Facebook? Facebook said it ain't the younger people. Their demographics has changed. It ain't the younger people. So what I'm saying is we are confusing this younger generation more than we're helping them. And I feel as though it's because we're more focused on trying to show or tell somebody the answer of something than trying to encourage them to put the phone down and go out in the yard. If you cannot pick up a bird and be probably within 2 ounces of what that bird weighs by just picking him up, why are you asking about pointing? Why are you asking about pointing? You got guys on here asking about feeding out a bird, how you point them out, what you do the last three, what you do during the keep. And if you sent them in their own yard and told them, pick up that bird and tell me how much that bird weigh, 70% of them probably get it wrong. 70% of them don't even know how their fowl body's supposed to feel. You ask them how you supposed to feel. Oh, you're supposed to feel this, that. That's something he read. That's something he read. That's something some old guy or some other guy told him. Ask them, how are your birds supposed to feel? Not Tom, Dick, and Harry's birds. How is your bird supposed to feel? Everybody's birds don't feel the same. They don't. So Freddie birds can feel one way, and your birds can feel another way. But if you're not handling your birds and you're not handling Freddie birds because you're getting that information off of social media, you don't know nothing. You don't know nothing. You don't know your birds and you don't know Freddie birds. You don't know anybody birds. There's more to gamefowl than throwing feed and filling up water cups and buying a trio and putting them in a big old pen. You're just like an employee that's not getting paid. You know what I mean? You're just like an employee that's not even getting paid. So we're not encouraging this present generation who's been in this sport prior to social media. You couldn't just jump online and get all this information. You literally had to go out there and learn on how to feed because a lot of the older guys wasn't telling you how to feed. Now, this generation doesn't want to learn from doing. They want to learn from asking. They don't want to, they just want to ask. How do I point? Do you know how to check the fat? Most guys don't even know how to check and see if their birds are fat, but they're asking about pointing. Another one is a guy talked about, how do I remove fat off of a bird? And I seen this today and I seen it before. Guys like, oh, how do I move a fat off of a bird before I put him in a keep? So basically, you're asking, you don't know how to remove fat from a bird, and you're literally about to put him in a keep. Guys, tell me in the comment section what you think his success rate gonna be. What do you think his success rate gonna be if he doesn't even know how to remove fat from a bird and he's about to put the bird in a keep? What do you think his success rate gonna be? I just wait 10 seconds. Just 10 seconds. Just 10 seconds. If y'all guys can take the time and don't be shy, take the next 10 seconds so it can have a little delay. Write in the comment section, what do you think a guy's success rate going to be who's about to put a bird in a keep and don't even know how to remove fat off a bird? Chris says 60 at best. Robbie Smith says 0. Justin say low. Brian say he's going to be donating. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Salt River say slim. He shouldn't feel like a fat. That's what I'm saying. 20%. Dead Game say 20%. Javier say 0. This is what I'm talking about. Terry said won't be good. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Guys that been in this sport long enough knows that. You see what I'm saying? So y'all guys know I'm not talking crazy. Y'all know I'm not talking crazy. But what I'm saying is, why ain't nobody saying the same thing that I'm saying? Y'all know what I'm saying is the truth. You don't know how to trim fat off a bird and you're about to put a bird in the keep? Of course, go ahead and show up. I want to be at that same place you at because you definitely going to throw away your money. You definitely going to throw away your money. Anthony said he don't care. He just going to be taking his. Jesse said less than 50%. So y'all guys know what I'm saying is the truth. Didn't I say the other day, is so many individuals learning this sport backwards? You got guys who's trying to learn how to put a bird in a keep and literally don't know how his body should feel. Ruger Boy said he want to show against. Of course, Ruger Boy, we all we all want to show against guys like that. We all. And I don't know, is that the reason why we're not educating or we're not forcing these guys in the direction of learning this stuff and encouraging them to be hands-on? You know what I'm saying? This is my thing. How do he even know his bird is too fat? How did he allow his bird to get too fat? You follow what I'm saying? Guys, tell me in the comments, am I what I'm saying if it's making any sense? That's all. That's all I'm saying. Just think about that. But none of that stuff was in the comment section. None of that. They're like, oh, give this, give that, give this, give that. Some of the stuff was right. Some of it may work. Some of it may not work. But how does this individual know? How does he know? How does he even know that his bird is too fat? Like I said, how did he allow him to get that fat? Do he not know how to feed throughout the year? How did his bird get too fat? You see what I'm saying? So that's what I'm talking about. But everybody like, oh, I'll sell you a book, I'll sell you a key, I'll sell you a DVD, I'll sell you all that stuff. I don't know if that stuff is good information or bad information. I don't have an opinion about it. What I'm talking about is the individual. Is the individual. It's to me, it's literally madness. We're setting these individuals up for failure. And how would this sport ever grow if we're doing nothing but sitting back, watching these newcomers fail? Because we know they're going to fail. We know they're going to fail. But I understand the flip side of it is like, well, they don't really want to learn anyway. Dakota, what's up, brother? You know what I mean? Appreciate your support, Dakota. Thanks a lot, man. You're a new member on the YouTube membership channel that we got, guys. I don't know if y'all had considered it, but we do have a new membership that we run on our YouTube channel, so y'all guys can show us a little support. All of the tiers are very affordable, $4.99, $9.99 a month. And we will only be doing our interviews on YouTube. We will no longer be doing interviews on any other platform but YouTube. So back to what I was saying. And Chris, you're exactly right. Chris, let me start putting some of these comments up here. Jesse, he let them get too fat by just walking and by throwing feed at them and not picking them up once in a while and feeding them. Jesse's exactly right. That's what I'm saying. Don't you think that can also be the same issue of why his hen not laying? A lot of times when hen's too fat, they don't lay. They don't lay. So if his roosters are too fat, he'll probably be in one of those groups again, asking why his hen is not laying. Well, she's probably not laying the same reason your rooster is overweight. Right. Let's put up this other comment. Salt River says, been in the foul for 44 years and seen something this week that I thought would have what I what that I thought would have been no way possible for it to work, but it did. Get in the trenches. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Goes back to the comment I posted when a guy say, has anybody ever used a rooster dummy and what are your thoughts? I said to him, use one on your own. So use one yourself so you can form your own opinion because everybody opinion is from different experiences. Did I tell him wrong? Just because guys is in there, oh, don't use a dummy because it's gonna make them dumb. Don't do this because it's gonna make them do that. Don't use this because it's gonna make them do that. You had just as many other comments that saying, oh yeah, you can use it, it's not a problem. You see what I'm saying? That individual is going to he's going to leave that conversation or that post more confused than he was when he asked the question. But you know what ends up happening? He probably won't even use one because he's going to be too confused. So, and he'll probably bypass my comment because it's not what he want to hear. I said, use one yourself so you can form your own opinion, because everybody's opinion is a result of their experience and it will be different. That's it. Rooster dummies are very common here in Puerto Rico, but you still find guys here in Puerto Rico say, I'll never use a rooster dummy. Treadmills are very common here in Puerto Rico, but you'll still find guys say, I don't use treadmills. You see what I'm saying? So how do you learn without getting in the trenches? You don't. Take the information that you're consuming and start applying some of it. Just like the guy asked, oh, what do y'all guys think about inbreeding, line breeding? I see that some successful guy said that it doesn't work. Has he watched the Journey to the Pit interviews? There's over 1,000 years of a combined experience in the Journey to the Pit interviews. And in those interviews, there are successful guys that do use inbreeding, use line breeding, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Those are guys that he know that you can research and verify how their birds are bred. I'm like, am I the only one thinking like this when I see some of these questions? And it's not the fault of the individuals that's asking because they don't know any better. To me, it's the fault of everybody in a comment trying to give a prescription to or solution to a problem without even understanding the problem. You haven't asked any questions about the problem. You see what I'm saying? So let me put this one up because this is a good one too. Matthew said, not everyone has the same passion, can't just feed, must handle and move pins. That's exactly right. And I'm going to harp on these because, like I say, it's just crazy. Well, I don't want to say it's crazy, but it's kind of like disheartening because we're not teaching this next generation on how to fish. We just keep handing them fish in the comment section. Nobody said, hey, bud, you probably need to get on out there and start picking up them birds. If you're new, you shouldn't have so many birds that you can't pick them all up. And I know some of them might be in pens and stuff like that. I'm not saying you need to go out there and pick them up every day. But if you cannot tell how much a rooster weighs by just holding him in your hand, you haven't picked up enough birds. That's just a fact. Because that's the only way you're going to learn how to just spot check the weight of a bird by holding him in his hand. You'll never learn that off of YouTube. You'll never learn that from Freddie, who ate nachos at the Bayou Club. You'll never learn that from the guy who won all the big derbies at Copper State. You'll never learn that from the person who won the World Slasher Cup. You'll never learn that. You'll never learn that. You'll never learn that. The only way you're going to learn that is you literally got to go out and every opportunity you can pick up birds. That's the only way you're going to learn. You can't learn everything through social media. You can't learn everything by asking a question. Some stuff you physically have to do. You have to do. Isn't that why in every trade school, in colleges, they make you do internships in order to graduate? Because even though they taught you all of this information, if they're not got you doing hands-on stuff within that as you going through school, they make you do internships. Because they know you can't learn everything through consuming. You just can't. You just can't. Let me just look through a couple of these comments right quick. And it's exactly right. It's a lot of good comments. Jesse says that you have to try it out for yourself because you won't ever learn how something works and you will always be second guessing yourself. That's exactly right. And that also applies to life. Ruga Boy was saying, yes, yes, sir. That's life in general. Exactly. That is life in general. That is life in general. That's how life works. You cannot learn everything through consuming stuff from asking questions. And I don't know if it's a fear of individuals trying not to make a mistake. And that's how it is when I went to that acceleration course, that business course at Georgia Tech. There were so many individuals in there asking thousands of questions. And then professors like, listen, you have to fail and you have to fail fast. I think Jeff Bezos said that from Amazon. He said one of the things with them, one of the cultures at Amazon is to fail and fail fast. But we're in an era with all this information, people think they can learn a way around failure. People think they can learn their way around failure. You got a guy asking, how do you strip weight off of a rooster that's about to go into a keep? Oh, but you think if he buy a DVD or book that all of a sudden he gonna have a really good show? You confused if you think that. There's a lot more to learn. Like I say, 362, not the last three. Your learning should be doing the 362. You shouldn't be learning how to strip fat off going into a keep. You should have learned that doing your 362. You see what I'm saying? When I said the first 362 ain't right, the last 3 days don't matter, that's why I say that. It doesn't mean don't take care of them 365 days. It means you need to do all your learning. The vast majority of your learning needs to be learned during the 362. Guys are trying to find out how to control moisture during the last three. Why haven't you tried that out at the farm already? Why haven't you dried one out already? Why haven't you made one wet already? You can do that. But you're not taking time doing that because you're too busy in these groups asking these questions because you done already walked through your yard and threw some feed and filled up some water cups. Now you back on your phone. I don't know how many times to say it, but you're right back on your phone. You ain't picked up not one rooster in that yard, but you fed them all. They look good. They acting good, but do they feel good? You don't know because you ain't picked one up. So don't tell a lie. You don't know until you pick one up. I tell guys also too, and this is in legal countries, if you have some potentials, what you think you will be using in the future, those birds you should definitely be picking up. You should definitely be picking those birds up. I'm not saying always picking up your bruised stock and all that kind of stuff. I understand that. I'm not trying to get on here and put out some unrealistic expectations. So don't take what I'm saying out of context and take it from one extreme to the other. I'm not saying go out and lift up 200 birds a day. I'm not saying that, but I'm sure the experienced guys understand what I'm trying to say. But if you cannot pick up a bird and know how much you weigh, you need to be lifting up birds every day. You need to get you a little portable digital scale from off of the internet, and you need to carry that out there when you're walking in the yard and pick one up and see if you can guess it and put them on a scale. So you can learn. You can't learn that off from Freddie off of Facebook. You can't learn that off of such and such off of YouTube or a website or this or that or this or that. Get a little cheap food scale from from online. I ain't gonna say no company name, but just get a little food scale and carry it with you. I got a digital one. I got a little digital food scale. You can get them up to they can weigh up to 10 pounds. It's a little thing, a little small digital scale. Carry it with you. And go up there and pick the rooster up and then set them on a scale. So you can start to develop yourself. And when you set him on a scale, Phil, check his fat. Check his fat. So you can kind of determine, you might say, oh, this one right here is 5'6", but he's fat. Okay, so he's not a 5'6". Just imagine how much you can learn by carrying a little bit. And somebody like, oh, that's stupid. That don't make no sense. You ain't got to do that. Listen, you don't have to do nothing. You can continue doing what you're doing, working your thumbs on them phones and donating your money. You can keep doing that as well. But what I'm saying is in order to develop yourself, this is honing your craft. This is honing your craft. Every tradesman do it. What makes you any different? Imagine if a mechanic came to the shop, never turned a wrench, but just got on auto mechanic forums and was talking about mechanics in the forums, but never wrenched on a car. Would you take your car to him? No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't. Lopez, what's up, brother? Anthony, no problem. Anthony said he never put his birds on a scale until they were ready to dance. That's fine. Like I say, guys, do whatever works for you. Do whatever works for you. But there's many guys out there that can't pick up a bird and tell them how much they weigh. They'll be 3, 4, 5, 6 ounces off. Don't have the slightest idea. But they asking people how to point. I don't see no wrong in putting a bird on the scale. It ain't causing no harm. To me, it's not about the bird. It's about your self-development. If you don't think you need to be developed in that area, no problem. Focus on something else you need to be developed on. That's it. Throw the scale idea out the window. Find something else. Maybe if it's checking fat. Maybe if it's controlling moisture. I don't know. Pick something else. All I'm saying is hone your skills. Work on your craft. Just because somebody doing something or not doing something, that don't mean you need to do it, and it doesn't mean you don't need to do it. But what I do know is you have to hone your skills like everybody else. In the industry that I'm in, I got to take continuous education classes, all of that, because the state needs to make sure that I'm honing my skills. It needs to make sure that I'm keeping up with the laws, contractual laws, and all that kind of stuff. So it makes us take continuous education to maintain our license. I'm just saying, and I learn something every time I got to go through my continuous education, because laws and stuff like that changes. If you never put your bird on a scale, how do you know how they really supposed to feel? How do you know? I'm asking a question. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just asking you a question. Guys, give me a second. Or we got a lot of comments coming in, which are great comments. This is a great one. Look what Jesse says. This is a great one, and I'm a That's right, George. I'm gonna bring. It's a lot of great comments coming in, and I'm gonna start banging them on in here. I'm gonna start bringing them on here. Jesse Johnson said, "I always keep 6 pins empty, and once a week I move every bird over 5 pins, always with a different rooster beside him. That way, you handle everything each week, and you can control their weight and check for bugs and health." I think that's excellent. Now, would that work for everybody? I don't know. I don't know. It may or may not. I think it's a great idea, but the only way you're gonna know if it's gonna work for you is try it. Not just reading Jesse's comment. You don't know if what Jesse just said is gonna work for you or not until you get out there and try it. Try it. That's all I'm saying. George says, or Jorge, whichever way you want to pronounce it. I started to weigh my fowl when they feel super good and try to maintain my fowl at that weight. It takes time and more work, but it's rewarding. I totally agree. That's another thing. See, that's what I'm saying. These are the benefits. These are the benefits. This is called honing your skills. This is something George is doing this not for his foul, not just for his foul, but George or Jorge is doing this to hone his own skills. He's honing his own skills. So he can identify how the fowl feel. Are they healthy? Do they got bugs? All that kind of stuff. How they muscle feel. Let's talk about George. George said, how do you know if you're feeding working if you don't weigh him to see where he's at? I can feel it in my hands now, but it took me about 20 years to learn what I needed to look for. Again, 20 years he worked on honing his skills, and now he no longer needs a scale. He don't need any of that. What I was just talking about earlier. If you can't pick up the rooster and know how your bird's supposed to feel, not Freddie's, not Tom's, not Rico's, yours. And then you can use those other individual birds as comparisons if you like. But you need to be able to tell a difference in your birds. How do they feel? How do they feel when it's hot? How do they feel when it's overcast? How does it feel when it's raining? How do they feel when it's cold? I'm just saying. And I'm not saying if you got 500 on a court, you need to do that with all 500. I'm not saying that. So don't take what I'm saying out of context. What I'm saying is, just like George said, took him, he been practicing for 20 years. Anthony says he doesn't throw his birds on a scale until it's time for a keep. There is no right or wrong. Both of them do things different, but that's just an example of what I'm talking about. Both of those guys, Anthony and George, do things two different ways. There is no right or wrongs. They're both right. George way is right. Anthony way is right. It's right for those individuals. But if you don't learn what's right for you, you cannot learn what's right for you reading a comment in these social media groups. It's just bananas, because you can tell by the questions that some of these guys are asking that they're putting no time in on the yard. They're trying to get all the answers from the couch. They're trying to get all the answers from the couch. I knew this mechanic guy that built race cars, right? He built race cars. He quit his job. Building drag cars was his passion. He worked in the factory for 15, 20, well, he worked in the factory for 20 years. He worked in the factory for 20 years. He quit the factory. He lived out the rest of his life. He started when he was really young, so he was able to, in his 30s, quit that job. Because I think he said he started when he was like 17 or 18 at this warehouse that made fiberglass. And he worked there 20 years. He was able to retire in his 30s, put his 20 years in, and then he finished out, he added an additional in his garage, and he used to tinker with race cars, with drag cars. Even when, no matter when you pulled up to his house, he was in his garage. You knock on the garage, what you doing? Oh, I'm just in here tinkering around, cleaning some parts. If he wasn't fixing on nobody's car or building a modification or something like that, you'll catch him in there. He'll be just cleaning some parts. Or he'll be reading a magazine on an issue that he might have ran into. Or he'll be trying to stay up to date on the new technology that was coming. And he still do that today. He's like 80 years old. And he still does that today. I met him when I was like 17. And when I was 17, he was already retired. He had already had the garage, the 57 Chevy race car with the big block engine in it and all that kind of stuff. That's all he did. So he never got to the point, oh, yeah, back in the day, I did this and that, so I don't have to keep up with new things that's going on because this engine and these tires already work. So if it ain't broke, I don't got to fix it. At 80 years old, he's still trying to learn. They came out with fuel injections. Back in the day when he got into it, they had carburetors. He got to the point where he took the carburetor out of his 57 Chevy drag car and went with a fuel injection. He didn't say, oh, well, my carburetors are already working. They're all reliable, so I don't need to change nothing. You're right. He don't have to change. But then when you got a small block sitting next to your big block And that small block is trailing you down and beating you at the end of the line and still able to get 16 miles to the gallon. Maybe, now he's behind. Now he's putting a fuel injection on that 57 Chevy and going faster. It's not that the carburetors didn't work. He just realized the level of competition improved. And they was able to go faster with less money and a smaller engine. Carburetors still work, but he got fuel injection now. So those are the kind of things that I'm talking about. Cherry says that pick them up every day if you can. It will help you and the bird. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Yep. And I'm going through these comments. I'm going through these comments real quick, guys. It's just me, learn from some great roostermen, aka the school of old country. No problem, Anthony. Like I said before, you doing what's working for you. You know what I mean? And hopefully we can teach this new generation to do the same. But they can only learn what's working for them if they get out there and get some dirt up under their fingernails. You know what I mean? Get some bird poop on their hands. You know what I mean? They're not going to learn what you learn from sitting somewhere in a car, at the job, in a break room, on a couch, on their phone, asking all these questions in the comment section. They're asking questions about problems they haven't even encountered. Yeah. Jay Sanchez says, do you believe that the last 3 days are different for different breeds? I believe some stress more than others. You answered your question. If you do this long enough, you'll know the answer to that question. But if you don't deal with different breeds, you may not know answers to that question. If you don't deal with different families, you may not know answers to that question. That's the answer, Jay Sanchez. I say that my answer is yes. My answer is yes to that question. Not only do different breeds, the last 3 days are not only with different breeds, they're different with different birds. So my answer is yes. Why? Because I conditioned a lot of birds. That's why I know. I didn't learn that off of YouTube. I didn't learn it off of Facebook groups. I learned it from conditioning roosters and realizing that that's too much feed for that one. That is not enough feed for that one. Why is the feed still in his crawl, but it wasn't in his crawl the last 4 days? Why is he picking through the food now, but he wasn't picking through the food over the last 2 weeks? Why is he drinking more water now and he wasn't drinking all that water then? This is the stuff that I learned conditioning different birds, not just different breeds, but different individual birds. I just learned it. And then when I ran into that problem, I asked a question. Guys are they're asking questions about problems they have not even encountered because they're trying to avoid from making a mistake. You're never going to avoid failure. You're never going to avoid making a mistake, whichever way you want to word it. You're never going to avoid it. You're still going to make mistakes. I don't care if the guy who won all the Copper States or the Cock of the Year is teaching you. You're still going to make mistakes. And if he's a good mentor, he's going to allow you to make mistakes. He's going to encourage you, make the mistakes, learn from the mistakes. A great mentor is not going to be trying to prevent you from making a mistake. He's going to encourage you to learn from every mistake that you make. David said, have to listen, learn, work a journal. Hand on trial and error with patience yearly. Exactly. Yep, I agree. Alejandro, what's up from Alabama? No, Anthony, I'm not talking about no keep aids. I'm not talking about no keep aids at all. I don't know where you get that from, but no, I'm not talking about no keep aids. What's up, Jay? Wonderful. Glad that y'all guys are chiming in. Glad to see you here, brother. Let's see what Jay talking about. Jay is one of our members at the $4.99 level. We greatly appreciate your support, Jay. Jay said, if people understood how environment and routine is critical to the development of these birds, they would stay on top of that. Exactly right. What did I say earlier? Are you picking up your birds? Do you know how you're supposed to feel when it's cold? How does he feel when it's raining? How does he feel when it's overcast? How does he feel when it's smoking hot outside? How does he feel? How does he feel? How does he feel? How does he feel when you change him out of, say, the scratch pen with this type of with corn shucks in there? You change him over to, say, a fly pen. How does he feel? How does he feel? How does he feel? You can only learn how he feel by touching him. That's it. All of these kind of things, environment is very big. This is like Jay is saying, learn how these environments affect your bird. So if you ever do get to that point where the last 3 days and you see an overcast, you'll know, man, you know what? This bird tends to hold feed when it's an overcast. This bird tends to hold feed when, it's cold. This bird tends to drink a lot of water when it's super hot. This bird tends to drink a lot of water when he's kind of dry. You're not going to learn that doing this. And we're not teaching them anything by constantly flying to the comment section like a race car to give them the solution. And we don't even understand the problem because we never asked a question. So, Jay, you're exactly right. If people understood how environment and routine is critical to the development of these birds, they would stay on top of it. Answer in the comment section right now. Do you agree or disagree with what Jay is saying? Just take a minute and answer, because this right here is what I had just been talking about of 10-15 minutes ago. And he explained it better than I was explaining. I gave the long version of an explanation. Jay gave the short version of the explanation. Just think about that. What's up, Mark? Let's see what Mark is talking about. Mark says sometimes it's hard to make people understand. It will soon become clear when your breathing is being wasted on another. Let me see. Do not share your gifts with those who are underserving. Yeah, I mean, you know what, Mark? I get what you're saying on that. But sometimes it's like an old 10,000-year-old saying from Trismegistus that says, the lips of wisdom are sealed except to the ears of understanding. Trismegistus said, the lips of wisdom are sealed except to the ears of understanding. So what Mark is saying, or maybe saying, that don't share information, I'm assuming, with people who don't appreciate it. But sometimes you can share information with individuals who's not at that level to even comprehend what you're sharing. But sometimes sharing it, a light bulb will go off in their head maybe 3 months, 6 months, or 3 years down the road. They're like, bam, now I know what he was talking about. So I think it's still valuable sometimes to say it, but don't put too much effort in it if it seems like it's not being received. That's how I feel about that. Anthony said it's all about understanding the foul. Exactly. But Anthony, how do you understand the foul? Do you understand it by sitting in Facebook groups and social media groups and on your phone, or do you learn your foul by going out there honing the skills? How do you learn how a bird's supposed to feel if you never picking them up? How do you learn what a bird is weighing if you never use a scale? If you just picking them up, but you never weighing them to see if you're guessing is right or wrong. Like, how do you learn? You see what I'm saying? So I'm gonna read some more of these comments. It's a lot of comments. Yeah, Mark, you hit that on the head. You hit that on the head. He says, Jim is right, people. The goal of his speeches has always been to spread the truth. That's it. But it fell on a lot of deaf ears. It fell on a lot of deaf ears. So you're exactly right. You're exactly right. And it seems like Jay Wonderful, it looks like in the comment section, many people agree with what you're saying. Many people agree with what you're saying. You know, understand that's a very short, powerful way, direct to the point of saying it. You know, but again, you're not going to learn how important the environments are, the effects of the environment on these birds if you're not paying them any attention. You can't learn that through a social media group. And guys, we can't teach them that by constantly giving them the answers. Why we don't encourage these people to get their hands dirty? Everybody's racing to give them answers. Let's see what Jay says. And I'm going to keep on going through these comments. We got some great comments, guys, coming in. Some great comments. And I'm going to keep banging them out as I go. Jay Wonderful said, a guy asked me how your birds feel so solid. I told him every morning at 7 a.m., they don't miss a meal, even when I don't feel like it. And that's been the last 10 years. Routine. We all know that gamefowl is creatures of habit. We all know that they're creatures of habit, and routine is a huge part about it. And that's a huge sacrifice for the breeder. It's a huge sacrifice. We structure our whole lives around these fowl. And that's why I say it's a lifestyle. It's not a hobby. I'm going to keep on jumping down in these comments. Jonathan says, it's hard to teach people nowadays. You can't beat a dead horse all day. They tend to want to learn the hard way with time and money wasted. Jonathan, you're right. But I ain't going to say but. Let me just share my perspective on that. One, Jonathan, I agree to a point, but let me share my view on it. Not disagreeing with what you're saying because you're not trying to convince me of anything. But let me share my perspective on what Jonathan just said. I believe today is, I believe it's not harder for them to learn it. I think many people, this is what Dr. Fabio told me. This is a guy that I interviewed. Dr. Fabio I interviewed. We did a 2-part interview with his interview on Journey to the Pit. Great interview. Well, anyway, I went to his house, went to his farm, spent some time with him. Let me tell you what he told me on his front porch. We sat out on his front porch and talking about different things. And this is one jewel that he dropped on me. He said to me, he said, Jim, men only learn from pain. Because I was telling him, he's seen that I'm traveling all over the country. I'm trying to share this information. I'm trying to educate individuals on how to get in a capital, how to be very proactive on a lot of challenges the community was going to be facing. But everybody was just dragging their heels about it. Everybody was just saying, yeah, you're right. But no action was being taken. But then when the pain come to where they started forcing stuff that they was letting go by, then now everybody became active. Everybody wanted to become proactive. Everybody wanted to get involved. Well, you know what? That proved exactly what Dr. Fabio had told me. Men only learn from pain. So when that pain started coming, when things started getting shut down, people started going to jail, and it was threat that you was going to lose your livelihood. Now all of a sudden, everybody want to get involved. I had been preaching for 6 years, and most of it fell on deaf ears. But when that pain jumped in, now all of a sudden, everybody want to get involved. So when you keep losing and donating and buying $1,500 and $1,800 trios and they dying off, or you buying $1,800 trios and you're not producing anything or you're not doing well, then your ears start to open up a little bit more. Robbie Smith says, 100% agree. All aspects of this game is basically hands-on. To me, it's the primary way of learning, and the information is the secondary way of learning. But you can bind them together to make the most effective way of learning. What's up, Finn Cannon? What's up, Jason? I hope all is well. 365 full-time grind. The sport of kings will humble you. Exactly right. And this goes back to what we were just talking about. You know, Jason just dropped it right there. Alligator Farms. I think I'm correct on that. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jason. But Alligator Farms out of Oklahoma. What he said is 100% right. And you hearing it from a man that got a ton of experience, knows how to breed, produce a phenomenal product, and he's telling you he even has been humbled throughout his journey. But he didn't get humbled because of a comment. He got humbled from being in them trenches. That's how you get humbled. You can only getting your feelings on social media, but you literally get humbled when you get in them when you get them trenches. Oh man, guys, we got a phenomenal amount of great comments coming in. There's so many comments coming in. I'm gonna try to get to as many as I possibly can. But I think y'all guys know what I'm talking about, and y'all guys understand it. Um, and I know some of y'all guys just chimed in and stuff like that. But again, guys, it's just one of those things. I think, and I'll tell y'all guys on how I deal with the answers to these questions on that, teaching them how to fish and not handing them a fish. I get a bunch of messages every single day about all types of things. How I get in touch with the person that you interviewed, who sells this kind of medicine, who got the best this and who got the best that. When is your next interview? All this kind of stuff, right? But I also get a lot of problems. How do you deal with this? How do you deal with that? How do you deal with this? You know what my answer always is? I reply with a interview. I don't give them the answer. I reply with a link to the interview that cover the issue that he's dealing with. That's what I do. There's over 1,000 years of combined, vetted, real world experience in the Journey to the Pit interviews, and they have been free for 6 whole years, going on 7. It's been free. And you literally got guys that say, I am not going to watch a Bobby Rogers interview, a 3-hour interview. I'm not going to watch a James Sylvester interview. I'm not going to watch a Jin interview. I'm not going to watch a Rick Hurst interview because all he want to do is sell meds. You know how crazy that is? You know how crazy that sounds? Instead of me spending 2 hours watching one of these interviews from one of these guys, because we interview small guys, medium-sized guys, and large guys. We interview guys who's better handlers than breeders, better breeders than handlers, better feeders, than they are breeders or handlers. You see what I'm saying? We interview some of everything. But instead of taking 2 hours and watching a Dr. Fabio interview, or 2 hours watching a Don Lester interview, or 3 hours watching a Bobby Rogers interview, or 2 hours watching a Sylvester interview, why watch an interview when I can just go on the drag pit group and ask a question, how do I strip fat off a bird I'm about to put in the keep? And instead of them guys saying, you probably not ready for a keep if the bird is already too fat. How did he even get that fat? If you know what you're doing, he shouldn't be that fat. You slipping. You already behind 8 ball. Now you're about to double stress the bird. You're about to double stress him. I'm not saying you ain't got to pull a little fat off of him, but you don't even know how to pull any fat off of him. And you really think you're going to have a successful keep? Just think about it. Just think about it. You see what I'm saying? Alligator for I had it right. I knew it right. That's right. Alligator Ranch. I'm sorry. Alligator Ranch. Finn Cannon, Jason Finn Cannon out of Oklahoma. Alligator Ranch. I'm sorry, I said Alligator Farms, but I knew it was alligator because that's how they always reply or call your fowl. It's them alligators. So yeah, I had it, the farm, but it's ranch. But yeah, again, listening to another guy. who's been in the trenches, created a phenomenal product, didn't buy the phenomenal product, didn't inherit the phenomenal product, created the phenomenal product, maintained a phenomenal product, improved the phenomenal product, and is not only phenomenal in his hands, but it's phenomenal in his customers' hands. But nobody want to listen. When guys like him, and we have not interviewed him, but it's guys like him that if we interviewed him, there'll be guys who won't sit through his interview. Why would you want to sit and listen and watch an interview with Jason? Why? That's vetted knowledge. That's vetted knowledge. You know what I mean? Jeff said, yes, sir. Dive in the trenches and you will see. Exactly. That's another thing. This is the thing, guys. You got guys, like Jason just said, being humble. Jeff, the same thing. Get in the trenches, you'll see. You know, all of this. If you these guys have been in this sport 30, 40 years. 30, 40 plus years. And they still make mistakes. They still get humble. They still don't get them right. Let that sink in. And you think you're gonna come in this game and get all your answers through social media? When you got guys prior to social media, back in the legal days, was getting humbled. I'm just saying. Just let that sink in. And they still run into problems, and obviously the sport's not legal, but they still run into breeding problems, sickness problems, health problems. They still run into problems of all different, the whole breeding concept. They still run into problems in it, even though they've been doing this 30, 40 years, they still run into problems. So what makes you think you can prevent from having challenges or failures? You can't. There's no one right answer. You know what I mean? It's just not a right answer. What's right is what's working for you. Jonathan says 3-hour interview can save you months of heartache. That's what I'm saying, guys. Listen, there's no other Gamefowl show that's in existence that has ever been where there's over 1,000 years of combined experience from people from literally all over the world. All different farm sizes, all different backgrounds, different families, different terrains, different feeds, different everything. So that's why we call it the Journey to the Pit 362 University, because there's nothing out there like, and I'm not saying that because it's Journey to the Pit, but check anywhere else. I'm not saying that other people with other shows don't bring guests on, but nobody got to combine over 1,000 years. They just don't. And I'm not saying Journey to the Pit is better than anybody else. But what I am saying is a guy who never raised gamefowl down in Louisiana, but raised fowl in some other place that don't do vaccinations and all that kind of stuff, maybe go down Louisiana and they probably have to vaccinate. Bobby Rogers talked about how he had a feed mix that worked perfect for him in Oklahoma. This is in his interview. Nobody wants to watch him. Talks about how his feed mix worked perfect for him in Oklahoma. He gave somebody in Alabama that same feed mix and it did horrible. But then if you jump to the Josh Huffman interview, which is his job is to purchase feed for livestock farms, he give you a deep understanding of the grain. I did not know before Josh Huffman's interview that all grains don't have the same nutritional value. It depends on where they were grown. That determines what the nutritional value is. When you see those things, those are just percentages. All corn is not the same. See? But if you watch that Josh Huffman interview, you won't know that. All corns don't have the same nutritional value. All wheat don't have the same nutritional value. All soy, all Milo, that stuff don't have all the same nutritional value. Like he talks about, depends on where it was grown in the country will determine its nutritional value. But guys are not taking the time to watch the whole interview because 2 hours is too long. But I can scroll for 2 hours on social media, hearing a bunch of comments from people who you don't even know if they even own Gamefowl. You don't even know if the stuff that they're telling you that they learned that from experience or something that they read in another group. Think about it. This is another one. Scott Scott says that if you can't take the time to watch an interview of someone that's been there and done that, then you are one, not wanting to learn, or you just wanting someone to give you the short fix, and there is no short fix in this game. Scott, you're 100% right. That's what I've been saying. Everybody just want to be handed a fish. Nope. Let me stop using the word everybody. That's the wrong term to use, wrong word to use, not everybody. Many guys out here, especially the newer guys, want to be given a fish. They don't want you to teach them how to fish. They just want you to give them the fish. They don't want to get taught how to fish. Why would you not? The interviews are free, so you can't blame it on anything. Oh, I don't want to pay for the information. No problem. The interview has been free for 6 years. You still haven't watched them. You can't say, oh, I don't know social media. Well, YouTube ain't even considered social media. YouTube is a research engine. It's the largest search engine in the world. It's bigger than Google. So YouTube is not even considered social media. So you can't even say, well, I don't do social media. Well, YouTube ain't social media. So what is the excuse? What is the excuse? I see guys talking about humidity control. How do I know if the humidity is correct? And why did he watch the Jin Jin interview? 2-time World Slashy Cup champion, 3-time Stag National champion. The list goes on and on and on. Became famous for his DOMs when everybody said DOMs was trash. He became famous for him and still is famous to this day for him. But he talks about humidity. Instead of getting in a group, the drag pit, and asking in that group, watch the Jin Jin interview, and then also go in a group. It ain't no zero-sum game like if I watch an interview, I can't ask a question. You can do both. But they don't want to sit down and listen to a guy that's vetted, and he explains about humidity. He explains. But too long of an interview. I can't watch a 2-hour interview, but I got all the time in the world to comment and read posts on social media for 3 hours. I can do that for 3 hours, but I can't watch a 2-hour interview. Just think about it. Jason say, my passion and love for this sport makes me want more. Everybody doesn't have a passion. Some people just own chickens. Everybody's not cockers. Everybody's not breeders. Some people are just chicken buyers. Some people are just chicken buyers. Some people are just gamblers. Some people are just participants. They're not even spectators. They're just participants. They just participate. They want to buy their way to the winning circle. And then when they don't get to the winning circle, it's always somebody else's fault. Clark talks about that in his interview, he talk about how guys come to the farm Then they get so distracted from seeing all of these different birds. They came here for one thing. But when they get there, they see all these different birds, and then they get all distracted and they start looking at all kinds of other stuff that they didn't even come there for. Then they buy something, and in 2 years, they want to know why they're not as doing as good as him. Well, my round heads and my sweater's not doing as good as yours, Clark. Clark, like, dude, it takes more than just a brood pen. I've been traveling this country and this world, literally the world, for decades. You just can't come and buy a trio from me and think all of a sudden you're going to be in a winning circle. Again, another individual who wants to be handed a fish and not taught how to fish. Think about it. Think about it. I'm just saying. And I know a lot of times some individuals don't want to hear it because it's coming from me. I'm the villain. That's why some guys don't allow me to share my Journey to the Pit interviews in their group, because it's a personal feeling that they have towards me. That's fine. The great thing about it is you can always go to YouTube and watch all our videos. You don't have to worry about searching for them or looking for them. They all in one place. Not unlike Facebook. I do an interview on Facebook. If you don't see it that day, it's going to disappear. You ain't going to see it. You ain't even going to be able to find it. You won't be able to find it. Go to my page and see if you can find the interviews. You won't be able to find them. But if you go to YouTube, which is set up as an educational platform, not just entertainment, but an educational platform, you can go right to our channel and it has all the interviews there in chronological order based on the most recent upload to the oldest uploads. I'm just saying. So maybe in the future, guys, when somebody asks a comment, because again, there is no questions that I have seen asked that we have not already covered in one of the Journey to the Pit interviews. Why don't y'all guys say, hey, you might want to watch some of these journeys? When y'all guys see these guys asking questions, y'all pretty much know these guys are new guys. Y'all pretty much know they're new guys by the questions that they ask. Why don't y'all say, hey, buddy, you might want to watch some of them Journey to the Pit interviews? It's a lot of great information in there that you can watch already. That's already been up there for free. We just started the paid program, so they can't blame it on that. But all of these stuff, inbreed, all of that stuff has been covered. And another very powerful thing is the fact that all of those people we interviewed, nobody do anything the same way. Isn't that another deep thing to think about? Isn't that another deep thing to think about? All of these guys are successful in their own rights from different parts of the world, different weapons, and they all successful, and none of them do things the same way. Just think about that. Just think about that. Yep. And guys, give me a second. It's a ton of comments coming in. And I greatly appreciate the comment. What's up, Jay? Hope all is well, brother. That's right. Jason says he listen and learn from old timers and beginners. That's exactly right. Because just because somebody been in this sport for 5 years don't mean they don't know nothing. And just because you never heard of them don't mean they don't know nothing. Just because they not famous don't mean they don't know nothing. Just because they ain't got a 500 or 1,000 on the court don't mean they don't know nothing. You can learn something. Sometimes you learn what not to do. Not what to do, but sometimes you learn what not to do. Jay, another guy we interviewed, his interview did very, very well. Again, he don't got 2,000 on a court, but he brought a lot of solid information to the interview. Jay says, been in Gamefowl 37 years and I'm still learning. No one knows it all. I took things from some of the videos myself. If it makes good common sense, I'll try it. That's all you can do. That's all you can do is try it. That's it. That's all you can do is try it. And that's literally what you're supposed to do is just try something. Try it. You can't act your way to the winning circle. And nobody in the comment section on a Facebook group gonna put you in the winning circle. You got to put your own self there. You take bits and pieces of information, you apply it, you use what works, you don't repeat the stuff that don't work, and you live and learn. That's it. Guys, let me Jason, I appreciate that, brother, because many people don't think I'm talking facts. They just think I'm talking out the side of my neck. I tell them get out their emotions. Don't focus on where the information is coming from. Just focus on the information. That's it. And that's why our interviews is about the guests and they're not about me. I'm not trying to be the man who knows everything. No, we bring guests on to share all different types of life experiences from all different parts of the world, all different farm sizes, all different climates, all different terrains, all of that. That's why it's so powerful. That's why it's so powerful, because you can find somebody that resonates with the situation that you're in. They might live in the same climate or the same country or the same state. So you can probably resonate with them, or they might be the same farm size as you, or may have the same situation as you. Right? Ton of comments coming in, guys. Give me a second. Let me try to read through some more of these comments. JJ Hurst said, back in the day when I was a kid, wanting to get into Gamefowl, I was like a sponge. Any and all information I could get, I listened to. But I had a great mentor, Wallace and Bill Lanning. If people would get up with an old timer, they wouldn't have to ask such questions. JJ, that's great information. The challenge that we deal with is a lot of the old timers have no desire in teaching the new generation. You don't believe me? Look in the comment section of these groups. Many of them say, oh, I don't teach them because they think they know everything. They don't want to listen. And you know what? Some of that stuff is very valid. Some of it is very valid. There is a lot of guys out there, but it is actually more guys out there, younger guys that want to learn than don't want to learn. How do I know that? I look at the analytics. YouTube can tell us not only what gender, what age, what state, what city, what country, what interviews, how long they watch. YouTube tells us everything. And our largest consumer group of our content is the age of 25 to 34. 25 to 34 is the largest consumers of our interviews. They're not on there looking at videos of roosters and stuff like that people posting so they can get 500,000 views on it. No, all of our content is long form educational content. And the largest group is 25 to 34. So that tells me younger generation do want to learn. Because if they didn't want to learn, they wouldn't be the largest consumer of our interviews. That's why I always challenge when I hear older guys say the younger guys don't want to learn. I always say, based on what? Based on your own personal experience. It's millions of Gamefowl enthusiasts in this world. You ran into 50 of them. And now you saying all of them don't want to learn? I think YouTube is a better statistic to go by than somebody's personal experience. And I can tell you the group 25 to 34 is the largest consumer of our interviews. So that tells me from an unbiased resource that's keeping track down to the city that is being consumed on, that the largest group of individuals is 25 to 34. So the younger generation does want to learn. We just got to not allow a few bad experiences to throw a whole generation in the trash, to turn our back on a whole generation because we had 5 or 10 bad experiences. That's just my perspective based on data from YouTube. Yeah. So I can kind of call that factual data. This is another one. Brian said, I like how people follow trends. That is always been and always will be. But like I told y'all guys before, and Clark talked about this in his interview, great breeders are the ones who adjust their selection process to neutralize trends. You don't believe me? When the last time when Bobby Bowles was doing what they was doing when he had him? Y'all can't remember. Y'all can't remember, can y'all? You know why? Oh, because he killed all of them. Blah, 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 blah. Great breeders neutralized all of it. Because if he killed all of them, why still people see people advertising these are Bobby Bowles A seals? Right? Why do I see people selling Bobby Bowles A seals? If he killed all of them, they would neutralize. Just like this era of the ACL crosses now. Clark talked about it. Guys are already starting to neutralize it. It's not going to happen overnight. Just like that trend of ACL crosses didn't happen overnight. People think it happened overnight because all it took were 1 or 2 big derbies. And when people realized that that's what they had, now all of a sudden everybody get on social media and it spread like wildfire. Now everybody buying them and everybody selling them. But it's great breeders out there that are adjusting their selection process to neutralize that capability that those ACL crosses brought to the table. It's already being done. It's already being done. You'll see. You will see. Yeah. Ton of comments coming in, guys. Give me a second. Let me scroll through here. Um, yeah. Here's another good one. Ruger Boy said they thought they had it all figured out, and now that the ship is sinking, they're scrambling. I don't think they ever thought these days would come, but it's not looking good for us out here. Exactly. Exactly. I spent 6 years on the road, 6 years on the road from Puerto Rico to all the way over the United States. My information was valid. My information was vetted. My information was used on a very small level that I tried to get guys to latch on to, but it went in one ear and came out the other. But when the pain started coming, now all of a sudden people are regurgitating and relabeling the information that I had been preaching. I tried to tell them. Yep. This is a good one. Mark says those new guys that don't listen are just new people making old mistakes. Facts. That's a fact. That is a fact. Hold on 1 second, guys. Yep. Okay. All righty. Yeah, guys. So I'm sorry about that. Just had to make some adjustments on this software right quick. Okay. All right. Here we go. All right. All right. So, like I said, guys, let's see here. Just a couple other comments. Boom, 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 boom. Let me see here. There's a lot of comments coming in. Guys, we've been on fire. We have been on fire tonight. Fire, fire, fire. It is so many comments coming in. It's bananas. I can't even keep up with them. I can't even keep up with them. Let's see what Jay says here. Jay says again, when I was coming up in this, you couldn't pay for the information that these videos give for free. Would no one tell you anything and wouldn't sell you good roosters? I was one of those lucky ones to have a great mentor, Billy Ray James. May God rest his soul. But yeah, he had a great mentor. And again, if you watch these interviews, they'll tell you, all these guys will tell you, when they was coming up in the sport, nobody would tell them anything. Wouldn't tell them anything. Now we got interviews with over 1,000 years of combined experience. You can't get a lot of these guys to watch it. They'll rather get in a Facebook group and ask a question versus watch an interview. They in there asking about humidity to a bunch of strangers that they don't even know these people from a can of paint, don't even know if they even using what they telling them, instead of watching a Gin interview, instead of watching Sylvester interview, Bobby Rogers interview, Jay interview. All of these guys talk about this stuff. All of them talk about it. They don't want to watch an interview from a guy that they know have used the information. They'd rather get in a drag pit and learn from a bunch of people in the comment section. I'm just confused. Look at this one. This is a good one right here. Brian said, I learned you learned me something with the string and the wing, and it worked. See? This is what I'm talking about, guys. This comment on the screen right here. I posted a video. I mean, was it a picture? I posted a picture of a rooster that had a string sticking out of his wing, right? It was a nylon string, little piece of nylon rope sticking through his wing band hole that was hanging out. We get this one guy in the comment section. Well, before we talk about that, you need to talk about why he's even picking feathers and all that instead of talking about the string. Well, why can't we talk about both? But this is the thing. Instead of you pushing a comment about that, why did he take the time to put in a comment of what could be causing feather picking? He didn't want to take the time to put that in the comment section. He just took the time to criticize the post. But what he failed to realize is somebody learned from the post. They learned from my post. They didn't learn from his comment because he had nothing to learn in the comment that he put. Well, you shouldn't be talking about, putting a string in a wing. You shouldn't be talking about why he's picking feathers. Well, if you watch the interviews, and if they watch the interviews, all that information is already in there. So I have talked about it. But has he talked about it? No. Because again, some of these people watch this content just to critique it and criticize it. They don't want to learn anything. They just want to watch it enough so they can critique it and criticize it. Nobody learned anything from that man's comment. But people learned something from that post. And you know what was so funny? It was people in the comment section that had already used the same technique. But some of them use a zip tie. I learned it from a guy here in Puerto Rico. I had never seen it before. I had seen the zip ties, but I had never asked what that zip tie was because I never had ran into that issue. But when I went to his house, I'm like, what the heck? And the guy said to me, you know what that's for? My friend Chino was like, you know what that's for? I said, no. He said, that's for feather picking. And it works. That's just a cheap country way of doing it. Grab a piece of nylon rope, zip it through his wing band hole, boom, and it stops it. And the bird has all his feathers. See what I'm saying? So when somebody said, well, you should be talking about what caused feather picking, was again, another guy, older guy, who never took the time to watch the interviews. Because if he ever watched the interviews, he would already know we talked about feather picking in the interviews. We already talked about that. But again, had to critique and criticize instead of not even saying anything, because nobody learned nothing. Nobody learned anything from that comment he just posted. Jay said, can't be free info. Jim, you're doing something good for the new and old cockers. I thank you for doing it. My son listens to the videos all the time. Greatly appreciated, Jay. I greatly appreciate you contributing to the show, sharing your information, unlike the people that you grew up around who wouldn't share information. And we still got some of those guys today that wouldn't share information with you when you were small. Some of those guys are still living and they won't share information today. That's the sad part about it. Some of those old guys still never change. Some of them still never change. It's sad, but wonder why the sport is dying. We're being attacked from both ends, attacked from all of these, political groups, and then we being attacked from a lot of these old timers stuck in their ways that don't want to help or nourish the sport to help it grow. I'm just saying. Prove me if I'm wrong. Her says, back in the day, I helped feed and water 2,000 roosters just to get information. I say, if you don't have a farm or somebody that you can go to, or even if you do, turn to the interviews. It's 1,000 years of information there from all different walks of life. Turn to the interview. Yep. Mark says, some of us sit comfortable in the shade because the old timers planted the trees long ago. Mm-hmm. See, here's a good one. Ruger Boy said, I like to say I come from the new generation and I'm trying to learn about foul every day, whether it be from my own foul or it be from someone else's. It's many aspects to this sport. Exactly. That's why the interviews are so powerful, because they come from all different walks of life, all different farm sizes, all different backgrounds, all different many years of experience, and all different weapons in all different parts of the world. Very, very powerful. Very powerful. But again, it takes sacrifice, which is sitting down and watching it and not mindlessly scrolling, talking nonsense and reading this nonsense. And that's what I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna call it nonsense. A lot of the stuff that people are sharing is nonsense. And the reason why I say it's nonsense, because a lot of it's not even coming from, it's guesswork. Just read the comments. They're guessing. They're guessing. Yep. Guys, it is a ton of comments. There's so many comments coming out. I can't get to them. Hey, what'd you say, Jay? That was clever. Yeah, it was clever. And listen, that's just that was up in the mountains. I went to the boonies in Puerto Rico and went to a little small farm. A guy had some phenomenal fowl. He gifted me some fowl, some doms, some bullicos. I love bullicos. He gifted me some bullicos. He gifted me the first one he ever gave me. Phenomenal. He gifted me a stag. Phenomenal bird. Phenomenal bird. So anyway, uh, small farm. Him and his father-in-law. He shows heavy. Very small farm, shows very heavy, solid birds. If I said his name, you ain't gonna know who he is. He ain't got no, you go to his Facebook page, he ain't got no whole bunch of stuff on social media, but he's in that pit at least, I would say, 3, at a minimum, 2 to 4 weekends a month. His days off. He's a police officer here, but his days off. You see what I'm saying? So, that's what I'm saying, man. You can learn something. I travel so much and I see so much and I put my hands on so much that I tell guys all the time when I read some of these comments, I'm just like, some of these guys, I can promise you, never been off their own farm. They always talk about what ain't working. They ain't seen enough to know what ain't gonna work. That's what's weird to me. They ain't seen enough to know what ain't gonna work. Woo. Anthony, we need guys like you. Look, Anthony said, Jim, be nice. I'm an old timer. Listen, y'all guys are the forefathers. Y'all guys laid the groundwork. The only thing I ask of old timers, it's a lot of old timers out there who voices will is so respected in the community. I wish they would speak up more. I wish they would speak up more. A lot of my information falls on deaf ears, not because the information is no good. It's because I didn't eat nachos at the Bayou Club. I didn't compete in Mid America. I didn't win at Copper State. So a lot of times guys ignore information coming from me that they would listen to if it came from a guy like Anthony, which is an old timer. It wouldn't fall on deaf ears if it came from him. But if it came from me, guys like, oh, Jim ain't never owned Gamefowl. They must ain't been doing their research. If they did their research, they would already know. Some of the American cockers, like Luke Gerard, guys that I have learned, he just won because he was our first guest, but it's a bunch of guys that I can name, and I'm not even gonna sit here and name them, that used to watch my live streams when I used to live stream from the pits. They used to watch the birds that I would post, the ones that I was training, the ones that I was competing with. Now I got guys, Jim don't even own Gamefowl. What are you talking about? Like, are you clueless? Like, you don't know my history? How do you think these Americans know about me? They knew about me way before I started helping them trying to fight for their rights. My social media, this YouTube channel is 10 years old. 2014, I started this YouTube channel. I'm confused. And YouTube made us erase 68 videos. We had almost 2 million views on this channel. But they was going through that whole animal rights era, and they flagged every single video that I had on it with an animal in it. They flagged it. Couldn't post for 90 days. Couldn't post for 60 days. If I got another violation, it was going to terminate my whole channel. I was going through that for years. I had videos on it where I was showing people how I conditioned Spanish roosters. It had like 700,000 views. They deleted it because they said it was animal cruelty. But then I still got knuckleheads today. Jim don't even own Gamefowl. Jim don't know nothing about Gamefowl. Are you kidding me? Some comments ain't even worth replying to. Yeah. 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 Like I said, Mr. Anthony, yes, stress, poor nutrition, that's just only two of them. It could be a whole host of different things. But like I said before, we talked about all that in our interviews already. We talked about it. So if anybody wanted to know the information or multiple different perspectives on feather picking, just watch the interviews. We got information in those interviews that talk about feather picking from biddies on up. Yeah, and that was a cop that was picking feathers. Yeah. Ryan, would you say you got some nice dom? Yeah, I got a dom that I'm going to be raffling because I've been getting a lot of guys wanting to get into they want to get some pure Spanish from proven lines. And I'm going to be raffling a dom. I'm gonna put them up tomorrow morning. Yep, I'm gonna put them up tomorrow morning. I got a couple birds I'm going to be raffling to give guys an opportunity for 20 bucks, 30 numbers, $20 a number to get a chance to get some game fowl, some Spanish game fowl from proven lines from here, selected by me. Give you opportunity to get some, or you can buy them outright, one or the other. But I will be putting up that dom tomorrow. I got two reds is tomorrow as well. We call them Rubios here. Um, Hey, what you say, Mark? Jim, it's no good to argue with those fools or lookers may not be able to tell the difference. That's why sometimes I just walk away. Exactly, and that's what I do. I don't even respond now. Uh, uh, Jay Wonderful said in Timothy, I guess chapter 3, verse 7 says like this: ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. The Bible verses that is. Yep. So I guess it goes back to even biblical forms. I guess it goes back to biblical forms. Brian said, "What is the thoughts on bearded roosters? Muffs. Muffs do very good here in Puerto Rico. I got a muff now, Cenizo, which is called the blue. He's a muff toppy. They do very good here, especially the toppies. Toppies do very good here. Very good. Cut machines, cutting machines. I got a little stag. He's very, very young, very young. But yeah, I don't know about American muffs. I just know about Spanish muffs. And Spanish muffs do good. But they like any other. Everybody don't have good ones. That is the reason why I spend so much time in the pit. And that's the reason why I spend so much time doing farm visits. See, I use the pits to determine who I'm going to visit. That's how I determine who I visit them on the farms. People think I just pull it out the hat. No, I don't pull it out the hat. How I determine on what farms to visit is I see those guys perform. What other better way to pick? What other better? And some farm visits I visit because people want me to come and visit. But when I do my selection for my clients back in the States that I've been doing selection for, finding roosters for them, getting them shipped back to the States for breeder material only. And it's truly for breeder material. They want to do crosses and stuff like that with it, but they just didn't have anybody in Puerto Rico that they can trust that would do selection for them. Now that I'm here, that's what I've been doing. So there's a lot of guys in the States that, again, guys are doing a lot of experiments that a lot of guys are not catching on to. They'll catch on to become a trend, or they'll catch on when they're trying to figure out why that guy's birds are so well and not realize that they got something else in them. And they wonder why they can't replicate it. Well, you can't replicate it because you don't got all the ingredients. And that's what a lot of guys in the States are doing. I was actually very surprised. I was very surprised how many guys in the States wanted Spanish birds. And I also was very surprised of how many guys in the States had Spanish birds and did crosses and done very well with them. Just like one of the guys down, I ain't gonna say the place, but yeah, I could say the place in Texas because he did it over across the south of the border with Spanish down to a 16th. He said he found his nick and it's been working very, very well for him. Very well. Let me get some more comments. Roland Hill said, I came to realize I've been in this for 8 years now, and more time on a yard, the better fowl you will have. My mentor told me that, yeah, that, and he lived by it. That's exactly right, man. Roland Hill, that's what this whole video was about. That's what this whole video was about. Guys need to get off these dang phones and get out of these social media groups and go in the yard. Jesus Christ. Go in the yard. Get some chicken poop on your hands. Get out of these Facebook groups trying to ask all these questions that's confusing you more than before you even ask the question. And then you don't even apply the information because you don't even know what information to apply. And you don't even know who it's coming from. So, yeah. Alan says, how much does it cost to ship a bird from Puerto Rico? Well, I just shipped some birds to San Antonio, and it costs about when I looked at the box, because I use a shipper. I don't go to the post office myself. The birds here in Puerto Rico has to go through the agricultural department. They got to get tested. They get a health certificate in order for them to go to you. When you go to the post office, you got to show them the health certificate, and then it gets shipped out. So I used to do it myself. Now I just use a shipper because he supplies the boxes. He feeds them. He waters them. He supplies the boxes. He takes them to the post office. he ships them out. Now, I looked on a box and it was a stag, and it was like $88 and some change, $89, but I pay $125 because I'm paying for his service as well. Like I say, he supplied a box, he put in the bedding, he feeds them, he waters them, he takes them to the he gets the test done, which is the test is $10. Well, the test is like 12 bucks. $10 for the certificate and $2 per rooster. Actually, that's how much it was back in. It's probably the same price. It's probably about the same price. But I personally haven't shipped any birds since Hurricane Maria. That was the last time I personally shipped birds. So I use a shipper, and I pay is $125. So it's $125 for anything 5 pounds and below. Anything 5 pounds and over is $150. But I just use a shipper. So the guys buy the birds, they get the stags. I go and select the stags for them. They send me the money, and then they send me the money for the shipping. I give the guy $125, and I send them a tracking number and a photograph and a video that the bird went into the box, his band number, a video of the bird, him in the box, then a tracking number, everything from the post office. Yep. Anthony said, "Can I have an amen?" Hey, can we post the amen in the comment section? Amen, amen, amen. I know that's right. Jonathan said that's a lot better than I thought. I thought it would be sky high. Yeah, and again, like I say, guys, that is the 125. Again, if I did it myself, it will be a little cheaper, but I just use a shipper because I don't want to go down to the agriculture department and all that blah 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 blah. You know, pay the $125. He takes care of everything. Another thing is too, the shipper is really, really good. He told me exactly when, before I even take it to the post office, he told me how long it would take for that bird to get to San Antonio. And it got there on the day that he said it was going to get there. Yep. It got there the day that he said he's going to get there. Because that's all he does. He ships out tons of birds every day. He was referred to me, good, honest guy, family man, businessman. Go to his house, drop off your birds. He'll feed them for you. And he'll do it all this in front of your face if you want. Feed them, you take your pictures, look at the wing bands. You can take a video of them going in a box. He put that soft bedding in there. He put the right bedding in there. Like I say, he feeds them. He feeds them. He forces water in them. And what I mean by force, he don't really force water, but he gets them to drink. He puts them under the faucet and let water. He don't leave it up to them to drink water out the cup. He makes sure he puts water up in that crawl with that feed. Yep. He's very, very professional. Very professional. Yeah. All right, Jay. Hey, brother, we appreciate you coming to hang out with us, guys. We've been on here almost 2 hours. I got to get off here. Wish you all well. Jim, all you can do is keep doing what you're doing with your information videos. Just like the old saying, you can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make them drink. Some heads are a little too hard and they're a little too hard for their own good. Jay, greatly appreciate it, brother. Appreciate you hanging out with us, man. And yeah, I'll talk to you soon. Yeah, I'll talk to you soon. All righty, guys. We've been on here a minute. Remember, guys, tomorrow, if y'all guys are interested, I will be posting birds tomorrow. I will be raffling them. I thought about maybe just flat out selling them like I have been doing the other ones as well. But a lot of guys they're not 100% sure if they want to try it out. So I said, you know what? If I raffle one, it'll be a lot easier for them to try it out. Yep. Be a lot easier for them to try it out. So guys, look out. Like I say, if y'all guys are did not know, if y'all guys watching from YouTube, make sure y'all guys hit subscribe and the bell notification. Also, too, guys, if y'all interested in watching, we will be doing an interview next Wednesday, this coming Wednesday. I did post it on my page. I also posted on YouTube, posted in the group. So we will be doing interviews. As I have been saying before, we did start a membership with our YouTube channel. We'll only be doing live streams on a membership level. We will no longer be doing live stream interviews to Facebook. I did a whole nother video why we're doing that, why we're getting away from that. But yeah, y'all guys can watch the video on that. But the interviews will be on YouTube. Next Wednesday, live interviews will be on the membership level, the student level or the membership level. And then the day after, once the live is over, then they are available to the spectator level, which is $4.99, and they will be free at a later date. At a later date, we do not know exactly when we'll release the videos, the interviews out to be free at a later date. I explained in the last video that I done why we're going to that era, and one of the biggest things is we're not creating content for people to consume and critique. We're creating content for people to consume, to be educated. And if a person don't want to pay $10 a month, that's $2.50 a week. If a person don't want to pay $10 a month or $5 a month to watch these interviews, we totally understand it. We totally respect it. And social media is full of all kinds of free information. We're just not, after 6 years, we're getting out of the business of just creating information to just entertain, consume, and critique. So hopefully y'all guys understand. If y'all guys can share this interview, share this video, we'll greatly appreciate it. We would greatly also appreciate if y'all guys can subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit that bell notification. If you are a member, as you probably know, if you do not know, I have already been uploading members only videos. We got Luke Gerard's on there sharing his worming method that he used. He's sharing on there how he deal with coccidiosis. And we'll just be continuously sharing more and more. We got guys that we'll be bringing on to do one topic discussions for members only, talking about all different topics. I've already got guys lining up. We got their flyers being already made, and we're going to start doing that for the members at the end of next week. So I will continue uploading. We're going to be uploading a lot of Jason Daniels videos and stuff like that he allowed me to record when it comes to his system of running his incubator, running his hatchers, running the hatchers, how he set up his brooders, how he handled his eggs, how he tracked 9,000 plus. I mean, these guys set 9,000 plus eggs. So I got a bunch of video of him handling thousands of eggs. I got the video of how he keep his records. It's very, very deep. So those videos I'll be uploading to the members only. And then we will be having these different types of guests that'll be coming in talking about discussing single topics, and it'll be for members only. Because again, 2024, like I said, we all about educating the individuals who want the education, not creating content just for people to consume, to critique, and discuss. It's all about making an impact. We want to make an impact. We're not trying to be famous. We want to make a difference. And that means that we can't create something for everybody. When you try to create something for everybody, you're creating stuff for nobody. So we found our target market. We know we will be able to make the biggest impact. That's the individuals who wants to become a member. Again, social media is full of a bunch of free content. If you don't see the value in it, no problem. But we got some great videos coming. We got some great guests that's going to be coming. These are not going to be full-fledged interviews. They're going to be short discussions for members only. So if y'all guys are interested, y'all can go on the channel. I would actually also even post a link in the bio, in the comment section as well. If y'all guys are interested in joining the membership channel, we would greatly appreciate the support. And I would think some guys would just want to join just to join, considering all the 6 years of content, free content we have already put out and never charged anybody anything. So I would think guys would want to join just for that reason. But again, I could be wrong. But I did just share it in a comment section that y'all guys can click the link. Y'all can join at any level, $4.99, whatever level. We greatly appreciate any support that y'all guys can, that y'all guys are willing to do. And again, we got a lot of great stuff coming. Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will be live streaming, YouTube only. Jeff Chapman from Chapman Farms out of Kentucky. We'll be bringing him on. That's going to be a great interview. And like I said, we got some other interviews that's lined up. That's going to also be great. So guys, have a good night. We've been on here 2+ hours. Again, share the video. Think about joining a membership. I did post it in the comment section, and we greatly appreciate your support. I enjoyed hanging out with y'all guys tonight. I think we all brought some value to each other in this comment section. Each one teach one. Had a lot of great comments. I'm sorry if I couldn't get to all of them. But within those comments, there's still a lot to learn, because it's all about each one teach one. So y'all have a great night. Like Brian said, get out on the yard. We'll close this out right here. Like Brian said, get out in the yard. That's what it's all about. Y'all all stay focused, stay positive, stay blessed. And until next time, have a great evening. And I'll talk to y'all guys soon.